Hello and welcome back to the Pharmaverse Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack. And if you're a leader or an aspiring leader in the pharmaceutical industry, well, then you're in the right place, because we interview the best, the brightest stars from all the corners of the pharma universe. Now, the Pharmaverse Podcast is powered by K. Bassman International, the leader in pharma and biotech recruiting. We're also sponsored by Executive Biotech Advisors, a trusted consulting resource in biotech. Today's guest on the Pharmaverse is Allison Trucillo, MD. Allison's the Vice President of Medical Affairs at Avalyn Pharma, and we're going to talk about what it means to have a growth mindset, an equation for personal growth, and how to leverage mentors to become the best version of yourself. Allison Trucillo, welcome to the Pharmaverse.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's an honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I love your podcast.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it too. So I thought where we could just begin was what inspired you to get into the pharmaceutical industry to begin with?
Yeah, so I am a physician who joined the pharmaceutical industry early on in my career. I was exposed to industry during my childhood, essentially because my father, who's a pharmacist, actually transitioned over to work for GSK for 20 years. And seeing him in action really got me excited about what the pharmaceutical industry does. You're being at the forefront of medicine and industry where you develop and bring new drugs to market, especially for patients who need the most, was especially intriguing to me. And I really learned through his experience and through networking with people in industry that there are a lot of physicians in industry for physicians, and this was beyond just practicing medicine. And so I had the opportunity early on to join a big pharmaceutical company and jumped at the chance and really had never looked back. So, I'd say probably early on, early on, gosh, now it's been 2 decades. I've worked throughout a spectrum of disease states across a variety of companies, both big pharma, big device companies, small startup, biotech, biopharma companies. And I really had the opportunity to be in a number of different roles from, starting out as an MSL to being a clinical research medical advisor, U.S. and global medical director, then leading regional field MSL teams. And now for about the past 7 years, I've been VP of medical affairs. So building and leading medical affairs teams. And that's really where my passion lies. I just love medical affairs. And I would say probably throughout my career too, I've just learned so much from being a part of different companies and organizations, getting to work with a variety of people with different skill sets, different forms of different managerial styles. And so I think it's kind of melded me into the person that I am today. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my career journey.
No, it's great. And, I'm glad you spoke about it because, you've contributed a lot. I've known you a long time. You've contributed a lot to medical affairs. So thank you there. I want to go back to one thing that you said though. Both of us have young daughters, and every now and then I'll ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? At what point did you say, I want to be a physician?
Gosh, I can remember this as early as probably when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. Just from going to the doctor, I always was fascinated by the way they made me feel better. And it was just something about being in a doctor's office. And I had a really great pediatrician who had good bedside manner. I also had an aunt who was an internist. And so I spent my spring breaks. I remember a couple of spring breaks, I'd go to Dallas and watch her work in the hospital. And I think it was just something that stuck with me early on, was that I love science. I love the human body. It's such an amazing machine.
Yeah.
And being able to incorporate science with helping people. And to me, it just really fit my personality. So that's why.
I asked my daughter just like earlier this week, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, a doctor. I'm like, yes. And then she's like, or a teacher. I'm like, well, you could maybe do both, so.
Well, doctors teach. Doctors can be teachers too.
That's what I tried to explain to her. And then she's like, but I don't know if I want to see blood.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting that when that develops, especially if your dad's a pharmacist, you got to be, you're exposed to the medical field a lot earlier than most people are when it comes to that. But as far as your drive, I know you said the human body is a machine. And you drive this machine. What sustains you in your drive?
Gosh, where do I begin on this one? For me, I think it's all about being the best version I can be of myself. I
Mhm.
just have this innate, um, I guess, desire to be better than I was yesterday. And so I've always been very big on being consistent, practicing. I do triathlon, so I've
Mhm.
learned a lot from that in terms of how I train and being consistent, showing up every day. And so really I think it kind of comes down to being the best version of myself and setting goals, achieving those goals. And when you achieve something that you set out to accomplish, it drives you even more and help motivates you. And I think, just speaking about motivation and drive, I've always heard, and I heard this first in training, motivation follows action. There are so many times where we don't want to get started doing something, but you got to just start. You've got to show up and get moving. And then that motivation comes. And so I don't know. I see kind of motivation and drive as going hand in hand.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And what comes first? It's almost like you
Yeah.
got to get the body moving, and then it stays
Yeah.
moving. Now, I like that. Be the best version of yourself. And it makes a lot of sense if you're an athlete running triathlons, you're keeping track of your times and stuff. But what does it mean in a professional context? Like, how could someone who's not a runner add
Yes.
that to their professional repertoire?
I think it's all about having a growth mindset. And for me, that means continuing to push myself with new challenges, taking risks, stepping outside my comfort zone. But that begins with passion. You have to find passion within your profession. What drives you? What are you excited about? You have to explore, be curious, and learn from that, leveraging your strengths, identifying and working on your weaknesses. So really, for me, being the best version of myself is all about pushing myself, taking those risks, making myself feeling comfortable with being uncomfortable. In terms of the workforce, I constantly identify new opportunities for development. So, and this is on you, like this is on me, and this is
Yeah.
on every individual. No one's going to make you grow within work. I mean, you have to be proactive and take ownership of yourself and invest in yourself and your growth. And so, like what I do is, like I said, I just identify new projects or new opportunities to work on with cross-functional partners I may not have had the chance to work with before. I talk to my manager a lot, and if I've identified, let's say, an opportunity for development, then I highlight with my manager, highlight the benefits, not only to me, to him, but to the company, the positive impact that it's going to have, and then lay out the best way that that's going to happen. Here's my plan for how that's going to happen. And if they have objections, and often they do, I have solutions to back them up. Here's my solution. Here are alternatives. So I think, yeah, that's how I do it. Just focusing on that growth mindset constantly.
So when I prepare candidates for interviews, I prepare them for questions where the hiring manager is like an Allison that has a high passion for achievement. And sometimes there's subtle questions that the interviewer can ask the person, like, so what do you like to do on the weekends? Or have you read any good books lately? Or, and what they're usually looking for is something that no one's telling them to do, that they have their own passion for achievement, their own intrinsic motivation to get these things done. And it seems like you have that left and right. And that's part of the growth mindset. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally. Exactly. It's like, what makes you tick? I ask that too in interviews. Like, what are you passionate about outside of work? Like,
Yeah.
what makes you wake up in the morning? What do you get excited about? What drives you?
And there's a lot of responses that could be good.
Mhm.
What I advise candidates to do is to talk about things that no one is telling them to do, that it shows they have a passion for achievement. And I've also heard you talk about this, not only the growth mindset, but like a growth equation. Can
Yeah.
you tell us more about that? I think it's brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. So the equation is stress plus rest equals growth. And I've heard it other ways. You could also say like work plus rest equals progress. But I really have to give credit to the triathlon community and my friends who introduced me to two authors, Brad Stulberg and Steve Magnus. And they're both authors, coaches, incredible people, but they've written a lot of books on drive, motivation, growth mindset, the practice of groundedness. But they refer to this equation and it really resonates for me because like just examples. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about triathlon because I think it sets the stage for work. So
Oh, yeah.
in triathlon or in anything you're training for, if you're just working out, if you want to grow, if you want to get better at what you're doing, you have to vary what you're doing. Even if you're lifting weights, so not all workouts are created equal. Some are low intensity, there's zone 2 and 3. Others are what they call tempo or speed. You have to stress your body physically so you can actually build muscle and grow, and your body can adapt and grow. However, on the flip side of that, you can't keep working hard and hard and hard and hard. You can't constantly be doing these high intensity workouts. You have to allow your body time to recover because that's where during sleep or rest, your body is actually healing. It's building muscle. It's building that muscle memory. So that kind of setting the stage for work, to me, it's the same way. So at work, like it's for the stress, like you have to push yourself. You've got to, give it your all, put yourself out there with new projects or really difficult tasks to stretch you beyond what you think you're capable of, or leading initiatives, whatever the case may be. There's so many examples, delegating work, managing people, or projects, but then you also have to have time for breaks. So like whether it's just during a workday, getting up and taking a 15-minute break, walking around, like stepping away from your laptop. Bigger picture, you've got to take time off. I mean, take vacation. You need these mental resets and refreshes to be able to come back and work stronger and harder. So it really, to me, applies the same way to work as it does into anything you do. If it's athletic or if it's with a musical instrument, it's that whole, you got to push yourself, let yourself rest, and then ultimately that's going to lead to that progress and growth that you're looking for.
One other thing that I want to just ask you about running is, because I think it applies to work as well, is affirmations. Because there's got to be a point where you're like, I want to quit. I want to stop. I can't keep pushing. But are there positive things you say to yourself, and how do those apply to work?
Yeah. It's so interesting that you mentioned this because before a race, my coach would make us all fill out what we call race scripts. And one of the questions, and it's planning out the entire race, but one of the questions is, what are you going to tell yourself when things get rough, especially at the end? And you have to write down either one thing, you could write down 3 things. But so I typically have 1 or 2 things that I say in my head. And, what if it could be, I am strong, I am fast, I can do this. I mean, as simple as that. Or I'm doing this for Penelope. She's going to be so proud. Like just saying things that make you remember why you're doing this. I just continue to tell myself, like, I'm strong. You've got this. You can do this. You're not feeling any pain. Keep going, smile. It's just kind of continuing to push yourself. And it works when you do that.
Oh, you just made me have a memory. So my oldest daughter, her name's Madeline. But when we first had the ultrasound, they're a little tiny nothing, and the doctor was telling me that the baby's the size of a poppy seed. Well, so we started calling the baby Poppy, and I wanted to get in really good shape because I was going to be a dad, and I got to live long for this kid. And we were doing Insanity. Those Insanity workouts. Oh my gosh.
I love those. We see them all the time.
Well, I would remember when I wanted to quit, I would just say Poppy just to remind myself who I was doing this for, I hadn't thought about that, but you made me think of it because Penelope is so close. Well, let's talk more about your career. We got a little off topic with that, but I really appreciated those comments. Most of the time, the people that we've had on this podcast, when they talk about their career and they made it to, VP or higher levels, they took some sort of calculated risk, some strategic move that paid off. Is there anything like that in your career?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say, and this is pre-COVID days,
okay,
when you actually had to come in-house and work at headquarters to move up within an organization, I took a risk. I was an MSL in Houston, and I really wanted to get experience working at headquarters. So I asked my manager if I could do a rotation up at headquarters. And so I'd fly up every week to New Jersey to learn more about all of medical affairs and what the global medical director was doing. Well, 3 months turned into 6 months. And then they asked me if I wanted to apply for the job of being a medical director. I jumped at the chance, but this was a huge risk for me. I was leaving. I mean, everything I knew was in Texas. That's the only place I'd ever lived. I didn't know a soul in New Jersey. It was scary. I knew it was going to be a big risk. And not having any experience at headquarters before too, like just knowing my little role as an MSL. So I did it. I mean, I figured, you know what? I have nothing to lose. This is a great opportunity for me. And, moving up to New Jersey is totally different from Texas. It's so
A little bit.
But yeah, quite a bit. I mean, God, we could talk about that for a while, but all the mistakes I made and things I learned. But I really felt like, the only way I'm going to grow is to, like I said before, put myself in uncomfortable situations. And what I learned from that was that I was a lot stronger than I thought. Like I did it. I met so many new people, both in work and outside of work. I actually met my husband. Now I learned in-house it gave me the opportunity to learn about all of the different cross-functional departments. I mean, clinical, like the clinical development team, the R&D, legal, regulatory, compliance. I mean, there's so many different people and functions within a massive pharmaceutical company. So just getting that exposure and experience and getting to work with each of them, because I sat in so many different meetings, and it made me appreciate the significance of the role that I have now and how cross-functional it is. It also just gave me a better understanding of pharma. What do pharmaceutical organizations look like inside? What's their structure? How do they operate? So it was an invaluable experience for me. And but it was a huge risk, and it was very uncomfortable for me to do that.
Two related questions to wrap it up. The first is, if you could go back to talk to your former self at the very first time where you were going to be leading others, what advice would you give to your younger self at that point?
I love this quote. I'm going to quote Maya Angelou. I've learned that people, okay, let me get it right. I've learned that people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That to me is so important. So I would tell my earlier self that's getting ready to start being a leader or lead. That's one thing, focus on how you make people feel. I think another big one for me is not comparing myself to others. I am a different person. I have a different background. I have different skill sets. I need to be the best version of myself that I can be. And I have to focus today on being better than I was yesterday. So I've comparison is the thief of joy. It's so true. And I've been very guilty of this throughout my entire career. But it's not worth it. It's not it's all about you and growing from within. And so I think those are probably two of the biggest, pieces, and then also just having fun along the way. Celebrate all of the little small wins. I mean, when you have these major milestones and achievements, I mean, those are fleeting, they happen and then you want to move on to the next, but celebrate the journey along the way.
Yeah, those are great. Those are 3 great nuggets. I appreciate you sharing that. Now here's a related question, but a little bit different.
Okay.
For female leaders. So imagine in the future, Penelope or my daughters are watching this. And what advice would you give to them as female leaders? Anything different?
No, I would just say, believe in yourself. You can accomplish anything. You are an amazing person. I tell my daughter that every day. And I ask her, why do I love you? And is it because you're good at swimming? Is it because you're smart? Is it because you're a good student? No, it's because you're you. And that to me, it's just, you really, if you put your mind, I know it's so trite, but if you put your mind to anything, you can accomplish it. And I would say too, just find what makes you happy. Find something that you're passionate about and follow that.
Well, I can tell you followed your passions dating back from, the pharmacist dad, and you wanted to be a doctor, and here you are in medical affairs still helping patients. And just on behalf of all who are listening, our whole audience, I just want to thank you for your time and these wonderful, wonderful insights. It's been so nice having you as a guest on the Pharmaverse.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's truly an honor to be here. You and I have known each other for so long, and I really do appreciate the opportunity. And keep doing what you're doing, because this is such a great podcast.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Pharmaverse Podcast. We have many more exceptional leaders lined up for you, so subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single insight. But for now, that's a wrap. See you next time on the Pharmaverse.